The Zalthine War Council had been laughing for the better part of an hour. Commander Vrixtal, his chitinous plates gleaming under the harsh lights of the command vessel, gestured toward the holographic display with one of his forearms. "Look at them!" He clicked in amusement, his translator rendering the sounds into galactic standard. "The humans bring animals to a space conflict?" The other council members, a mixture of Zalthine warriors and their allied species, chittered and growled their agreement. On the display, grainy surveillance footage showed human soldiers disembarking from their transport ships on the contested moon of Arcturus 7. Beside each soldier walked a four-legged creature, furred and alert. "They cannot even engineer proper combat drones," sneered Subcommander Kelth. "They rely on biological creatures that evolved on their primitive homeworld. How did such a species ever achieve faster-than-light travel?" Vrixtal's mandibles clicked in what passed for a Zalthine smile. "Intelligence reports confirm these dogs require food, water, and rest. They are vulnerable to the same environmental hazards as the humans themselves. It is almost sad." The Zalthine had fought 14 species across the Orion Arm. Their exoskeletons could withstand small arms fire. Their reflexes were 3 times faster than baseline humans. Their quantum-linked combat algorithms made their units move as one perfect entity. They had never lost a ground engagement, until Arcturus 7 Sergeant Marcus Webb crouched in the rubble of what had once been a mining facility, his hand resting gently on the head of his partner, a Belgian Malinois named Titan. The dog's ears were perked forward, his dark eyes scanning the darkness ahead with an intensity that no machine could replicate. "Good boy," Marcus whispered. "What do you got?" Titan's body language shifted, subtle, but Marcus had learned to read every nuance over their 3 years together. The slight tension in the shoulders, the flare of nostrils, the way his weight shifted to his rear legs, contact close, concealed. Marcus hand-signaled to his squad. They melted into defensive positions without a sound. The Zalthine had cloaking technology, expensive but effective against thermal and most visual spectrums. Command had lost 2 squads already to ambushes they never saw coming, but they hadn't accounted for 50 million years of canine evolution. Titan didn't need to see the Zalthine warriors. He could smell them, the strange ammonia-based chemistry of their bodies, the metallic tang of their weapons. Even the electronic signature of their cloaking devices created minute changes in air composition that his nose could detect. He could hear them, the faint hum of their exoskeletons, the click of chitin on stone frequencies above and below human hearing range, and something else. Something humans had bred into dogs for thousands of years, the absolute unshakable desire to protect his pack. Titan's growl was so low Marcus felt it more than heard it. 3 seconds later the night erupted. The Zalthine had expected to catch the humans in another perfect ambush. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had been tracking them for the past 2 minutes. Plasma fire lit up the ruins. Marcus's squad moved with practiced precision, each soldier working in perfect tandem with their canine partner. Corporal Sarah Chen and her German shepherd Valkyrie flanked right. The dog moved like a shadow, leading her handler through the optimal route while avoiding 2 separate kill zones her nose had identified. When a Zalthine warrior rose from concealment, Valkyrie was already moving, 70 pounds of muscle and loyalty launching through the air. Her jaws found the weak point where the warrior's arm joint connected to his torso. The Zalthine's shriek echoed through the ruins as his weapon clattered to the ground. Lieutenant James Rodriguez and his dog, Havoc, breached a sealed door the Zalthine had been using as a sniper nest. The explosion detection training that Havoc had received identified the trap before Rodriguez could step on it. 2 lives saved in a heartbeat. All across the battlefield the pattern repeated. Dogs detected ambushes. Dogs tracked fleeing enemies through terrain where all technological sensors failed. Dogs identified wounded friendlies in collapsed buildings by scent alone. Dogs provided a psychological presence that no amount of armor or weapons could replicate. The primal fear that came from facing a predator species that humans had spent 10,000 years perfecting. Commander, Vrixtal watched his tactical display with growing horror. His forces were in full retreat. Impossible, the humans were technologically inferior. Their armor was lighter, their weapons less powerful, their numbers fewer, but every single combat report mentioned the same thing. The dogs. They are everywhere. gasped one of his squad leaders over the comm. "We cannot hide from them. Our cloaking is useless. They smell us. They hear us. They track us through solid walls. And when they attack, the transmission cut off in static." Frickstall's tactical computer recalculated their probability of victory. It had been 94% when they landed. Now it showed 12% and dropping. "How?" he whispered. "How does an animal?" But that was the mistake, wasn't it? Thinking of them as merely animals. The Zalthine had bred warforms, sure, creatures engineered in vats programmed with combat algorithms utterly disposable. They served a function and nothing more. These dogs were different. They weren't programmed. They were partners. Frickstall could see it in the footage now, the way the soldiers trusted the dogs absolutely, and the way the dogs would literally die to protect their humans. There was something there that no amount of technology could replicate. Loyalty. Love. 10,000 years of evolution, not in isolation, but together. The humans hadn't brought weapons to Arcturus 7. They'd brought family. Sergeant Webb sat in the ruins as the sun rose over Arcturus 7, Titan's head resting in his lap. The dog was exhausted but uninjured, his tail thumping weakly against the ground. Around them, the other soldiers tended to their partners first. Water, food, medical checks, before seeing to their own needs. The Zalthine were gone, retreating to orbit in disarray. Command was calling it a decisive victory. Marcus knew better. It wasn't decisive. It was inevitable, because humanity had never fought alone. Not really. They'd had dogs at their side for longer than they'd had written language. Through every war, every struggle, every challenge, there had been dogs, and that made all the difference. Marcus scratched behind Titan's ears. "Good boy," he whispered. "Best boy." Titan's tail thumped harder, somewhere in orbit. The Zalthine were learning a lesson that countless species on Earth had learned before them. Never underestimate the bond between a human and their dog. It was the oldest alliance in human history, and it had just won them the stars.